Good morning, class. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. I am not much of a Star Wars fan, but may the 4th be with you today. Learning target is to identify current immigration issues, specifically for the United States. Our agenda is first, I'm going to ask you to look at the announcement that is posted on Google Classroom updating you with some course policies that will be in effect throughout the end of the year. One has to do with an update on what your exam will most likely possibly look like. Second is a policy in regards to late missing work. Please read those carefully, and if you have questions about them, let me know. We will then go through events that have taken place over the past week or so. We will have a quick write. That is your homework. It is due 3 p.m. today. This is a classwork grade. And then lastly, we will introduce and start researching our project for this unit on immigration, which is called the Immigration Quote Debate and Quote Project. I will give you some of the details of what that looks like. First, after you've read the new course policies, just a couple of details on events that have taken place. One, an update on COVID-19 in Michigan. Governor Whitmer is extending the state of emergency for the state of Michigan. This is different than a stay-at-home order through the month of May. The stay-at-home order a while ago was extended to May 15, and that still remains. This has created plenty of controversy already, and it continues to do so, particularly because we have a governor who's a Democrat, we have a legislature who is Republican-controlled. This led to a protest that took place at the Capitol building to the point where people got inside of the Capitol building. Some of them brought weapons, which is something that they are allowed to do. But that is something that made news for the protest. It got loud at times. Just kind of a tug-and-war battle between Democrats and Republicans. So that's kind of where we stand right now in the state of Michigan. For the country as a whole, the last day of April was the last day that the federal guidelines for social distancing, closing down businesses, etc. ended, and that was not extended. So the only federal guidelines now that exist for states to consider is the kind of three-step, three-phase plan of re-engaging the economy and starting to open things up that President Trump introduced a little bit ago. So states can determine how exactly they do that. Some states have/are planning to start doing that already. Michigan has done that very, very little, a little bit behind many of the other states. But ultimately, each governor, each state gets to decide what that looks like because each state's in a different situation. On Tuesday, this is this week, not last week, we will be celebrating Cinco de Mayo. Probably talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. Another thing is a judge, federal judge, denied and rejected the court case held by the U.S. women's soccer national team, demanding that they get paid more and equal pay. That demand was rejected. This is controversial. I saw a headline. I didn't read the article, so I don't know all the details, that Joe Biden threatened to get involved, demanding that the women's team gets more pay, saying that he will cut U.S. soccer's funding if they don't. So we'll see how that goes. Right now, it doesn't really matter because sports aren't really being played in the United States. Joe Biden, speaking of whom, there's an allegation against him, sexual assault, and a lot of people are comparing this to the Brett Kavanaugh situation. For those who don't know, Brett Kavanaugh is a Supreme Court justice that was nominated by President Trump and confirmed by the Senate, but not without some difficulty and controversy because he had a similar thing where in his past somebody came forward and alleged that she was sexually assaulted by him. Ultimately, Congress found him not guilty, so we will see what, if anything, happens to this. Obviously, it can't be good for him to have this coming up as the election approaches in November. And lastly, Mike Pompeo made the announcement that he has seen significant, strong evidence that the coronavirus COVID-19 initiated not in a market in Wuhan, China, but in a lab. However, he declined to share and reveal what that evidence and information looked like. But there has been this idea going around that China started this with a lab that was poorly monitored and controlled. That's how this disease started, and that's something that's currently being investigated. And according to both President Trump and Mike Pompeo, there is evidence of that. So we will see what comes out moving forward. What I would like you to do for your homework today is write a full paragraph, 5+ sentences, where you will choose one quote, and I will post those quotes with the quick write for you to look through, and write a faith-based personal response and reaction to it. What I want you to consider, and this is actually something I wanted to do last week when we were talking about refugees, but I got all these quotes from a book called The Displaced. These are a collection of essays and writings from refugee writers, edited by this guy right here, and they all share their personal story of what their refugee story was like, and then what their existence looks like as a result of it today, and some of the difficulties that they face. Now, I am posting these quotes just as things for you to consider. Don't feel like I'm trying to ask you to lean one way or the other and how you respond to it. But I do want you to consider, when we imagine immigration, is how do we define what hospitality looks like? I think we can all agree that Christians are to be hospitable to those around us, whether they're our best friends or strangers, people who are oppressed, people who have much. We are called to love our neighbor, and part of that means being hospitable towards them. However, how do we do that without drawing into a lot of the hostility that faces various immigrants today, whether that's legal immigration, illegal immigration, refugees, which is a special type of immigration today? One thing that I just want to clarify is that when we talk about immigration, I am not just talking about illegal immigration. I'm talking about immigration as a whole, whether it's legal or not. I think some people are kind of coming at this situation with too narrow of a view towards it. Broaden it a little bit. When I say immigration, I mean immigration as a whole. If I want you to focus specifically on illegal immigration, I will put the word illegal in front of it so you know exactly what I'm talking about. So there's going to be 5 different quotes from this book. Choose one and write your personal reaction to it. Consider the issue from a Christian faith-based point of view, and be prepared to respond to other people's posts as well. And I don't care which quote you choose as long as it's clear which one you're choosing in your response. Then last week you signed up for one of these topics, at least most of you did, that you'd like to focus on for the project that will consist of your test for this unit. So many of you, most of you have already made that decision. I'm going to ask you to stick with that decision. But if you haven't chosen one yet, please let me know as soon as possible. If you come up with another idea that's immigration based that you'd rather do besides these topics, please let me know. We'll try to make it happen. Leave me an email or a private comment, and I will see what I can do to help make that happen. So what you are going to be doing, and there is a rubric and outline posted that gives you full details as well, is kind of a quote, debate, end quote. Now in the past in this class we've actually done a formal debate on these issues. I wasn't planning on doing that with this class before this whole shutdown situation happened. Definitely not planning on doing one afterwards. I think there's just too many logistical issues we'd have to deal with in order to make that happen. So this is a quote debate. It's just going to be an opinion, argumentative based activity and something that you're going to be creating. For your research, which you should start today, you need to have at least 3 reliable sources. If I'm being honest, if you're going to do it well, you're going to have more than 3. You will be citing those in MLA format. I'm going to ask you to research your issue, not just from the point of view that you agree with and you personally think, but from both sides or all sides of the situation and the issue. Use multiple types of evidence when you're researching. Once again, consider it from all points of view. Make sure your research is detailed, thorough, and specific, because you will have to explain your opinion and your argument on this issue, not just based on your opinion, but your opinion that is based on facts as well as faith. You're going to demonstrate clear faith-based consideration with what you make. 2 things to quick show you before I end this video. 1, here are the quotes that you get to choose from. I could have given you more, but I thought giving you too many would make it too difficult, so there are 5. So read them carefully. Think about what each quote is trying to say to you, and then write a full paragraph response to it, something that's meaningful, something that considers it from a Christian perspective. For your debate, here's the rubric. Here's the list of the topics you can choose from. Here's an explanation that you need to use at least 3 sources and extensively research your issue, citing them in MLA format. You will post your sources in whatever you create. What you can create for this quote kind of project debate is either a formal written essay, just like we did at the start of this class. If you want to create a formal presentation and you'll do a screen recording of it, you may do that. You may create some sort of video, so not like a recorded presentation, but a video to explain this issue, an infographic or something that's visually based. If you have a different idea that you think would work well for this, feel free to let me know and we'll try to make it happen. But what you need to do is provide an overview of this issue from multiple points of view. So just explain what the issue is all about from multiple perspectives, and then explain what your opinion is on that issue with full detailed support. So you need at least 3 key ideas, 3 main reasons why you think the way you do. You need to use specific evidence, thorough evidence, whether that's stats, personal stories and examples, logic and reason, or expert opinions. I'm looking for you to use multiple different types of evidence, which is what I'm highlighting here, in your reasoning and argumentation. Also, make sure you consider this issue and your opinion on this issue with a clear faith-based approach. And when you're explaining the faith-based approach, make sure it shows that Scripture has played a role in making your decision. There's authority there. And make sure you communicate your opinion and all these ideas with truth, grace, and love. Whether you're creating a video, an essay, how you explain information matters just like what information you're sharing to. Due date for this, I don't know. I'll tell you the earliest I'll make it would be Friday 3 p.m. Currently, I would imagine if you want to do this well, and I'm looking for this to be done well, it's a test grade, you're probably going to need more than just Friday 3 p.m. to get all the research done and make whatever you're making. But ultimately, it depends on how much work you get done throughout this week. Throughout the week, you'll have checkpoints and kind of progress updates for what you've done, how much you've got done, and what still needs to happen. So that will determine how much time I give you to do this. If you have questions about this, let me know. Realize today all I want you to do is start the research part. Make sure that quick write's done. I will talk to you more tomorrow.